What's up, mateys? Welcome to the Mark Lesko Podcast. I'm your host, J-Rod, and this is Pirate Central. You know, if you had told me that in one series, the Pirates would have swept the Cardinals, blanked them, no runs scored in 3 games in a series, and that series went 7-0, 1-0, and 5-0. And then you told me that they had a day off and traveled to the West Coast and took on the Seattle Mariners, who were around 500, not an embarrassing team, a respectable team, and did the very same thing to us that we did to the Cardinals. And the Pirates get shut out 6-0, 1-0, and 1-0. Well, I would tell you, this is the Pittsburgh Pirates, folks. That's what I would say. I have been watching this team now for a good deal of 30 years. Religiously for the last 15, 16 years. Nothing seems to really amaze any fan that has really watched this team for quite some time. Nothing. Nothing you can say, oh my goodness, they scored, again, 40-some runs in a series, and then they don't score a single run in the next. That wouldn't surprise you at all. This team is the definition of inconsistency in the dictionary. When you open up a dictionary, or let's be actually what the times are, if you Google the word inconsistent, you're going to see the Pittsburgh Pirates probably come up first. I really just don't know what else to say. It's absolutely the most remarkable thing in the history of baseball. The Pittsburgh Pirates are the first team, and they have been a team for 144 years, to sweep a team, shut them out completely, and then get swept and be shut out in the very next series. Remarkable how this team somehow finds ways to be on the worst side of history. And do they care? Probably not, because they get paid either way. I mean, it's almost a guarantee that they're going to get paid. That's why they got contracts. They already know the situation. They should know the situation. The situation is this team is set up to just look like a team. They are just there to have the uniforms on and go out there and look like a team. They stand in the positions and they just let the game play. If they win, wonderful. That's, okay. If they lose, okay, wonderful. It's almost as if it doesn't change, because taking a 6-game winning streak on to the West Coast on a road trip, you could not ask for more momentum. With 43 runs to 4 runs in an entire 6-game stretch, and that doesn't motivate you to try to keep with it, I just am completely dumbfounded. Again, what would it take for this organization to realize that something could actually happen? But I don't know. I don't know how much of this is on Kelly, because, again, they were showing the best versions of themselves in every which way, because they won those games. They fought hard for them. They actually were one of the better teams in all of baseball with all the numbers that they were putting up. And then they just went right back to being Pittsburgh. No runs, no real life. I mean, that opening series on the 4th of July, seeing Spencer Horwitz, Andrew McCutchen, and Brian Reynolds all without a single hit, and each of them having 2 strikeouts. Just same old results. Went right back into that system of just pitiful and terrible offense. And then the very next night, you have a 1-0 game. I believe that was broken. I think that they scored that run in the 6th or 7th of Saturday's game. You just don't put any effort into making anybody cross the base. I mean, you don't try to get them home. Like, everything just was so bad. They had ample opportunities in that game, and they just could not score. Amazing. I cannot believe that these problems, not only do they seem to want to stay, but they just love to remind you in the worst way that they don't change. And here we are again with these same old problems. They're 15 games out of 500 now. This season is over again. I mean, up until that Seattle series, they were 12 games. They were 38-50. That still had a chance to salvage the whole season. Now 38-53. Just went away in 3 games. And of course, it had to end. Of course, this is seeming like this is a wonderful pattern that they're doing with Paul Skeens. Almost like they're just asking the guy to want to be traded or want him to get mad. Once again, a brilliant performance by Paul Skeens. He had a really great showing in the previous start against the Cardinals, and naturally we could not give him any run support in that game. That was the 1-0 win we had against St. Louis, and then we have a 1-0 loss. But it had nothing to do with him because they pulled him in the 5th inning. He did not come out for the 6th. He finished 5 innings, 5 hits, 10 strikeouts, and no walks. The All-Star game is a week and a half away. I mean, I really hope that's not the case of like, well, the game's could close, so we're just going to pull this guy right now. He was at 78 pitches. The average pitch count that you want your pitcher to throw in an inning is 15. 15 times 5, 75. Who's 3 pitches over the average. So I don't get it. I know the dude. I think the dude has like really been limited ever since the Phillies series, way back when. Like, what was that, mid-May, something like that. I know that they have been kind of limiting him to 5-6 innings and trying to keep it under 80-90 pitches at a time. And again, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, because they wouldn't score. So just watching this team constantly put up Ks the way they do, and they're just so questionable strikeouts where it's like, why did you not swing? Why did you swing? All these strikeouts just seem to always find ways to be like the worst ways you can do it. Same old problems, same old Bucks. Again, guys like Don Kelly, I feel so bad for because you are a great manager. It's very apparent with that. But you're not enough. You can't overcome something like this, where an organization has just basically done everything it can not to prepare for any type of competition, for any kind of competitive nature of any kind. Like, when you have the Cubs and you have the Dodgers and the Mets, yes, their organizations spend lots of money. Yes, all their players are all-stars. Like, they're all set up for being something spectacular. And we're not. We are a small market team because the owner wants it to be that way. I'm sure they can shell out an extra 50 to 60 million for the payroll. I don't think that's asking too much, but to them, it's just not in the cards. They would rather look so abysmal than try to be something better. The way that this organization handles things through their analytics, it just seems so dated now. Everyone talks about, oh, the Moneyball thing was such a great idea. It's a great movie. It's a great movie, but that's not a formula anymore. Everyone's kind of working around that. Everything was always about how the offense did nothing, and they waited for something to kind of, they took advantage of it. And I just thought over the last week or so, when they played the way they did, they kind of threw those analytics out the window, and it was like, all right, we're playing like a baseball team again. And all of a sudden, the pattern just came right back in. Bunch of strikeouts, there's nothing on the base paths, like there's no traffic whatsoever. It's just nothing. It's clear. Like, they could have driven all over the place, the Mariners could have, with how much path was not on the base. I mean, the first game was kind of like a fluke in that sense. You watch the Mariners have all of the runs be a home run, and then these last two games, 1-0, and because it was all home runs again. Like, I think all the home runs were runs were produced by home runs. It's about as frustrating as it can pretty much get as a Pirate fan, because naturally, again, the problem is the inconsistencies. Watching a player like this guy, Reynolds, do something spectacular for a little bit and then show a 75 to 25%, bad and good, like he, for the whole month of June, pretty much gone, and then this little spurt, a little spark, and then went right back into it. Dude hasn't had a hit yet in July. I think our best hitter right now is, oddly enough to say it, I think it is Tommy Pham. The guy who's surging is the guy that had one of the worst batting averages in the entire team. Again, it just amazes me how this organization just keeps finding ways to not improve, to not get better. They have put themselves in this position for what reason? Because they know what they want from the season, which is players that just show up. And that's really all you need. I mean, it's nice that they have good attendance records on their team, but they're not giving the fans any reason to show up and watch. Not with this. I mean, the West Coast teams, I mean, I get it. They weren't going to be, trying to get TV ratings with it, because again, it should have given you some spark when you had the surge going through with the 6-game wins, but once again, it just went back to the same thing. I'm at a loss to know what it's going to take for guys like Sherrington to be fired, for the organization with like the president, Travis Williams, it just needs to be different. It needs to be better. Again, it's a broken record. These problems, once again, these podcasts, everything is just, offense sucks. Pitching was elite. They need to be better. That's it. I keep saying the same thing. I can't find new material. I really wish I could find better material, but what we had, like the Cardinals series, was so promising. So it was a mirage, though, that it just didn't come to fruition at all. There was nothing else but just them kind of fooling us again, thinking that things would be better. So it's definitely same old stuff, guys. It's the same old Pirates. They don't change. And until those guys leave and are replaced, it's just going to be the same results. This inconsistency. For all we know, they're going to go to Kansas City and they're going to start another series or another run. Then they'll go play the Twins, and then again, they'll just look the same exact inconsistency. So this season is very much in turmoil, has been for quite some time. Little glimpse of hope, but doesn't last long with that team. So that's my first pitch discussion. 7th inning stretch. we're about a week away from the All-Star game. The 2 series are left. And again, after this, you've got a pretty easy schedule coming up. So I think they've got like maybe 8 or 10 series for about a month and a half that, again, outside of their division, that are going to be tough opponents. And everybody else is going to be below 500 and worse than us, believe it or not. So, again, you could have gone into the 9-game homestand after the All-Star break with a lot of momentum, but it just seems like you can't ask these guys to show up ever. Like, you can't ask for that from them because they don't seem to think that is something that they want. They don't want it for us. I don't know what they want for themselves, but they certainly don't want to be competitive. It's unbelievable that we've got teams like the White Sox coming up at some point. And I know we play the Rockies at some point, either at the end of the month or at the beginning of next month. This was a time to kind of get hot, and you were starting that, and just it seems like there isn't a whole lot to look forward to in the 2025 season after this point. All you can do is hope that when you trade guys, and guys like Keller are being traded, or guys like Haney, who's the other possibility? I think I heard that Ke'Bryan Hayes might be traded. I don't know if that really will bring back, but that's the thing. These trades need to give some idea that next year will be better. But until we know that the GM and or organization itself wants to shift things around and actually start wanting to be better, I mean, what difference does it make if they're going to make trades? They need to make trades that are actually going to improve their chances within the next year. But here's the thing with the 7th inning stretch, maybe this next season is going to be halted by a lockout. This is the reality that we are facing. I know that their deal with the MLB and the LVPA, they're probably going to be fighting again. And I know this is their last year before they have to go back to talks, and we could be facing another lockout. And would that hurt anything for us? No. In fact, it would probably lift a lot of stress off our shoulders as Pirates fans, because then we wouldn't have to go into anything with any expectations because they won't be losing. And that's the thing about it. The fact that I can find a good positive spin on something like that, I mean, that just shows you how abysmal the entire organization handles things. Like, the fan base just cannot catch a break ever when it comes to trying to find ways to be positive or try to find ways to get excited. We had it and it's gone. Yeah, so we're looking at a pretty tough couple of months, and who knows how long it's going to take for this to go down. Again, that's the worst case scenario, that they go into a lockout and, the season is either lost or we have half a season lost. Again, I can't remember the last time a lockout, if it happened, it was like over in a season or the whole season was lost. I know 94, stopped everything, and we didn't have a World Series that year. Can MLB really, live through something like that again, where it's like you're asking these players to cut a deal or get some sort of salary cap, I know, dare I say, something positive for the entire landscape. But again, we've been dealing with the rich guy problems with the players, and we don't want these teams to have the same kind of problems. That we don't want the same problems as those poor teams. We want to stay rich and have the rich contracts and have the best opportunity to be the best all the time. Like, not all teams can do that. Like, I don't think the Rockies can do that. I don't think the Marlins can do that. I know Athletics can at some point do that when there's parks built in 2028. I think they said they were going to be complete. Who knows? Maybe there won't be that problem anymore, but that's really what's coming down to. I feel like this next coming season, there's a lot of questions coming. So putting that aside, I'll start with the closer. Knowing that Paul Skeens will be pitching in the All-Star game again, it's been announced. He'll be going to his second consecutive All-Star game. I think I saw this again where it's like another bad part of history. The Pittsburgh Pirates have been an organization since 1881, and they just, I think, announced that this is the first time a Pittsburgh Pirate has gone to the All-Star game in his first 2 seasons with the team. Like, not Roberto Clemente can say that, not Ralph Kiner. I know Honus Wagner was retired by the time the All-Star game was a thing, so he probably would have been the one to do it if he was able to play. Yeah, and then Willie Stargell and the late Dave Parker. I know he was an All-Star. Like, you think of all these big names in Pirate history, and not one of them had started his career out as back-to-back starts in the All-Star. I mean, that's just unbelievable. But again, more Pirate history that just makes you just, accept the horrendousness that is this setup. So it's great for Paul Skeens to see that. He very well may start for the National League. I don't see, maybe Wheeler, because I know Hunter Brown's doing his thing with the Astros. That's AL. And AL, Tariq Skubal, he will, I'm just trying to think who else would do the National League start. I'd like to think that's it. So most likely he'll be the guy that represents Pittsburgh, but that's really not what he's doing. He's just being Paul Skeens, and he is just being an amazing major league pitcher. He just happens to be on this team. That's the thing. I cannot believe that I get to say that Corvette is in this Pinto car lot at this really, really downgraded car lot, and we've got our Corvette in that. It's just unbelievable. Who knows? It seems like the obvious thing would be for them, again, to just clean house, start again. You have to rebuild. I just don't know what else to say about it, but that's what needs to happen. But again, if the lockout happens, we may not have to worry about that for a while. So just going off on this series is, you just saw it. One great series, the worst you can be at for the other. So again, say hello to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Really great, then not. Inconsistent. So I will wrap that up, guys. This has been the Pirates Podcast. Hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Until the next one, you guys have a good one, and let's go Bucks.